I also lost my father to cancer when I was 22, and he was just approaching 60, being in my early 20s and feeling hopeless and helpless and not knowing what to do because you're so young and you want to help this person that you love so much and so dearly heal from that. He didn't survive, but what got me extremely frustrated was every single 3 to 6 months he would go for a blood check, and all the doctors were saying that there was nothing wrong with him even though he was peeing blood. And it was only when he was stage 3 cancer that they were like, he has stage 3 cancer.
Mary Cristine, an integrative nutrition and gut specialist who has not only worked with over 800 high net worth individuals, but also has left a mark on the lives of countless others through her social media platforms. She's a guide on a profound connection between food and emotions, leading individuals to achieve balance in all aspects of their lives. You've worked with a lot of high net worth CEOs, entrepreneurs, so on and so forth. What kind of result you've seen?
You know, it's quite interesting that you asked that question because
Welcome back, Alphas, to a new inspiring episode of the Alpha Talks podcast. Today in the studio, I've got a very special alpha for you today. Mary Cristine, an integrative nutrition and gut specialist who has not only worked with over 800 high net worth individuals, CEOs and entrepreneurs, but also has left a mark on the lives of countless others through her social media platforms. So without further ado, let's welcome the incredible Mary Cristine to the Alpha Talks show. Thank you for joining us today.
thank you for having me. What an amazing intro.
I'm happy that you loved it. It really speaks the truth. So we're very happy to have you today.
Thank you.
So Mary, before we before we start, I usually like to start with a question. Once we publish the episode and people will see the graphics, will see the thumbnail, will see the title, and they will think it's interesting for them to watch the episode. What can you promise them today to gain if they gave us their time? Anything you think of?
They will be transformed in the way that they look at health today.
Wow. I think a lot of people will be looking forward to hear that. Me too.
Yeah, especially
So-
because there's a ton of overwhelming information.
Absolutely.
To be able to have like a trusted resource where you feel like that totally resonates with me, I think that's what people want.
Everybody will be waiting for this. So Mary, before we start, how do you feel today?
Amazing as always.
Great. So in a nutshell, who's Mary from your perspective to our audience? If you want to tell the audience about yourself, what you will
Mary
say.
is a gut specialist. Mary focuses on helping people simplify the gut-brain connection, help people understand how to transform their lives in an easy, very digestible way, giving people a beacon of light, an inspirational resource, a trusted resource, as someone who can hold their hand, someone they resonate with. You know, I've gone through the same struggles as most people.
Wow.
You know, lost loved ones through disease, dealt with my own personal struggles, and came out of it the other side with so much success, inspiration, hope to become a better person always. And my platform is really inspired to create that same feeling for everyone else, because I was just
Wow.
one of like everyone.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about your background, your childhood. A
Sure,
little bit.
sure. I have not a very conventional background, I would say. Like, I grew up as an expat kid, so I moved to Dubai when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
I was born in the UK and moved out to Dubai to mixed race parents. So my father is English, my mom is half Spanish, half Filipino. And being raised in the Middle East, I think, like any expat kid growing up in any country outside from where they're from, is such an amazing opportunity, because we are thrown in the deep end and we're given to basically live and understand diversity and culture so quickly
Yeah,
from such an
true.
early on.
True.
You know, while every other, for example, you're Egyptian and growing
Yeah.
up in Egypt, you're so used to
The
Egyptians
culture
and the
and what-
culture,
true.
and you're never really thrown outside of your comfort zone to try to make friends outside of that box.
Correct.
And the wonderful thing about what Dubai or this region or any expat kid growing up anywhere, the wonderful thing about that is that they're given friends from all over the world, which
True.
means that you become an extrovert. You learn how to become a people's person so early on. You also understand communication really well with people. And I think one of the best things that this country has offered me was given me an opportunity to be able to blossom in ways that growing up in probably my own country wouldn't have given me.
True.
A quick note, I find this incredibly intriguing. On the back end of our YouTube channel, it says around 75% of you who watch this channel frequently over the lifetime of this channel haven't yet hit the subscribe button. I just wanted to ask you for a favor. It helps this channel so much if you choose to just subscribe. It helps us invite guests that give you great value. It helps us scale the production and as well makes this show bigger and bigger for you. And if you enjoyed the previous episodes and you're currently enjoying this episode, could you please hit the subscribe button? I love your support. It's incredible to see all your comments and engagement, and we are just starting. Thank you so much, and I will repay this gesture by making sure that everything we do on this show makes it bigger, and better. I'm committed to do this promise. Do we have a deal? Thank you so much for subscribing. It means the world to me.
Even before we go on shooting, you said like you consider yourself Emirati.
Yeah, I do, except I don't speak Arabic. Mashallah.
Mashallah, that's enough. Mashallah, inshallah, okay? What's the connection between food and emotions?
Now, going through my own personal struggles
Yeah.
growing up, like many of us, let's just going back through some of the common things that most people face is trauma. You know, from a childhood standpoint, if our parents, for example, are not healing from their own personal trauma, especially, for example, in my generation or our generation,
Yeah.
we're both in our 40s.
True.
Our parents tend to have dealt with trauma by taking it out on their children. So the way that they were raised, they raise their children the same way. So there's a lot of probably toxic behaviors
True.
where children grow up and not understanding why they were treated like that. But because their parents have not healed those toxic behaviors,
Correct.
you end up having to face that. You grow up with those traumas, and then if you're not healing those type of traumas, you then take it on and on.
True.
And you're not breaking any generational curses. So a lot of people, for example, myself in my 20s, I did grow up with a lot of trauma. What I did is I then used food as an outlet for that. Means I used that as control. I wouldn't eat. I developed anorexia from a very young age. A lot of teenagers, especially now in the digital age, when you want to look a certain way, be a certain way, you want to look like as a supermodel online, you just stop eating. You know, so back in the day, we didn't have that much social media, so obviously it was very different. But then adding trauma as well as social media together, it's like a time bomb.
True.
It explodes,
Yeah.
right? So I would say like a lot of the traumatic experiences that people are not healing will then use food as an outlet. An outlet like how I used it, I suppressed eating,
Yeah, it's
and how
overeat.
a lot of other people, they tend to be obese.
Yeah.
They use it as an outlet.
Sweets and this, yeah.
Carbs,
sugar,
you know,
yeah.
constant alcohol addiction.
True.
There's so much out there, and the marketing that's promoting all these false foods is not helping either.
100%. You've worked with a lot of like high net worth, I would say, individuals, CEOs, entrepreneurs, so on and so forth. Just give us what kind of result you've seen, what kind of impact that they had. Just a rough, what does the final image looks like? And
You
then
know-
we'll dig deeper.
You know, it's quite interesting that you asked that question because, you know, from a CEO perspective or a high net worth individual who has built successful businesses and have done so much in a realm of probably starting from nothing to building large corporations which has thousands and thousands of employees, they kind of have this know-it-all attitude. So they come into it with the idea and the notion of I want to change something in my life, but they don't like to be told what to do.
Exactly.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
hard to take away control from someone that always wants control.
True.
So I think the challenge always being for a high net worth individual to want to make the switch is they're resistant to change at the beginning. So I would like to give an example with
Yeah.
Spencer Lodge, for
Yeah.
example, because he was one of my clients and he openly talks about this all the time. And when we first started working together, he was resistant to the change. He didn't trust it. He didn't believe it. He thought that this was all like, you know, a
He's eating
woo-woo.
one time a day, right?
He doesn't really eat one time a day.
Half a
I
day.
mean, he
Because
was
when I
like-
met him, he was like, I'm eating one time a day. I was like, what?
yeah. We decided to, but I don't know if this was the period when me and him started working together.
It's like almost, let's say, 6-7 months back.
Okay, so no, we haven't really worked that
Yeah.
long together. I think it's been 5 months, but I don't know, maybe. But I do promote that the older we get, for example, our body can't digest that much food anymore. So I do promote less eating. So for example, for myself, I practice the OMAD diet, which is 1 meal a day diet.
Okay.
And there's a lot of studies that back that up, that the less, smaller meals that you eat, the better it is
True.
as you get older, because of a lot of the organs in our body is not able to digest those food better.
Sure.
So I did suggest to Spencer to focus on the OMAD diet if he can handle it. I mean, there are times where he can really handle it, and there are times where it's like high pressure and he can't handle it.
True.
And then there's the jet lag of the travels, and sometimes, he wants to eat more meals. Sometimes he isn't sleeping properly and he needs food as fuel, and 1 meal is not enough. So I think it really depends.
Just dig a bit in the 1 meal thing. When it happens, and this meal looks like what?
Yeah, so because I've been doing it for so many years now, obviously when I first started it was hard. If you come from someone who is eating 5 meals a day, by the way, I don't promote the 5 meals a day
At all?
thing. No, at all. I think it's a lot of false marketing, and I think it's a lot of trying to push people to consume more when they shouldn't be consuming more,
Okay.
and also consuming the wrong foods. I do believe that in many ways less is more, and that goes the same as with food. So, breakfast is an important meal, but it's not the most important meal.
There is a lot of debate that people should have breakfast or not. I'll tell you, I have, like, my father, for example, says he should not eat, like, he tells me, don't eat breakfast at all. Once you eat breakfast, your whole system goes down and your energy is down, and like, he's like, maybe 1 meal a day, but at the end of the day. And there are people, myself, I have to have breakfast. So, frankly speaking, it's like, there are two opinions, and what is correct, having a breakfast or not?
So what's the kind of breakfast that you have?
Okay, it's different because I'm a sporty kind of guy.
So,
So it's
yeah,
an
let's-
oatmeal and protein.
So is it just oatmeal with some plant-based milk and protein?
Yes, and bananas.
And you add some bananas or
Yeah.
sometimes different type of fruits and
True.
berries?
Yeah.
So I think breakfast, or for example, I don't consume breakfast myself. I start my day off with hot lemon water and some apple cider
yeah.
vinegar, and I condition my body that way. But then that works for me because I've been doing it for so
True.
many years. But I think if people want to eat breakfast, there's nothing wrong with eating breakfast, but I think it's a type of breakfast that people consume. A lot of the breakfast today, even if you go to the restaurants,
Yeah.
the breakfasts are waffles
True.
and pancakes
True.
and acai and lots of berries. And I'm not
Correct.
saying that that's wrong, the acai part, but it's always super important to start your breakfast with a savory meal and not a sugary meal. Because the sugary meal, it spikes your glucose levels, which then makes you, as your father said, crash throughout the day,
True.
feeling lethargic.
So the jam,
no,
absolutely
no,
not.
absolutely. You're
No.
not supposed to start your breakfast with a fruit. You're supposed to start your breakfast with a savory
True.
meal. So eggs, for example.
Yeah, correct.
Do you start
Yeah,
your day with
yeah,
eggs
yeah.
sometimes?
Sometimes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get back to the 1 meal.
Okay.
What is a 1 meal?
Yeah, so as I did say, as we get older, our body's not able to be able to digest the food as much, and the less meals that you give your body, you give your enough body to rest and digest, so repair, recover, and your cells to regenerate. So you want that, right? In order to promote longevity, and I'm in the business of longevity, and I promote that heavily, and because I specialize in gut health, in order to create longevity, you have to reduce the amount of inflammation in your organs. And foods, especially high caloric foods, highly processed foods, highly sugary foods, foods with a lot of antibiotics, hormone-based from produce, herbicides and pesticides, they all cause inflammation.
True.
Which is, for example, we live in a hustle culture. No one eats at home anymore
True.
safe.
Yeah.
People go out
Fast food,
to Enoch,
restaurants. Yeah,
anything.
true.
They just pick out a croissant here and there. You're spiking glucose levels all day,
Yeah,
every day.
exactly.
No one's really eating healthy. So 1 meal a day will reduce the inflammation, which then promotes longevity. And that's why I promote 1 meal a day.
And in 1 meal, for example, it's in the morning, it's a person's.
Yeah, it's
Choose-
a person's preference. Like, I like intermittent fasting. I believe in intermittent fasting. I know it's also a debatable topic. A lot of people think that overly intermittent fasting is also wrong, and doing it sometimes is preferred. But I know what works best for me, and I always say this to everyone that I work with, and I will promote it on your podcast as well, that we're so bio individual in terms of our microbiome.
Yeah.
We're so different. So our programs or whatever we put in our body, our culture, the way we eat, the way we absorb food, our intolerances to food, our allergies, we're so different.
True.
So we're so personalized. So you and me can sit in the same room and eat the same thing, and your glucose levels will not spike and mine will.
True.
You know, for some people that I know, their glucose levels spike with rice, and for example, in my case, it doesn't spike with rice. So there was a study that was recently done in a documentary in Netflix where they did a study on, I think it was about 15 to 20 twins. And twin studies are always the best studies because they carry the same DNA.
Yeah.
And there was one, and the study was based on a vegan diet and an omnivore diet, but both and then healthy. And then at the end of that study, they compared between a vegan diet and an omnivore diet. And although there were variables on why omnivore is amazing and variables as to why being a vegan is added value, because I don't really like to promote veganism.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have a balance of all, not to
Do something
indulge
too.
in in too much meat either, but also like focus on plant-based. And because we're all so unique, I think how I eat, I would not tell someone that this is the golden rule and you need to eat exactly like me. So I get it in my socials all the time. It's like, Mary, why don't you promote a day in the life of what Mary eats? You're a nutritionist.
Yeah.
You need to promote that. And my response to that is just what I told you. We're all so different. So I can't go and push to you the meals that I eat because maybe it might not work for you. I will focus always on bio-individual. So the first thing I will do for you, if you were, for example, my client, is I'm going to get a blood test done.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
We will reach this point, but I was, or I'm still a sports person. I competed in Mr. Olympia, and one of the thing that I hated at that time is meal preparation. And when somebody comes and tell me, okay, we'll talk about wellness, you need to take care of your food, what comes to my mind? Oh my God, I have to sit, I don't know, 1 time a week, every day, prepare my meal. And that's, I believe, one of the obstacles or the challenges that people face or perceive. How does it work?
I love that. That is a super interesting question, I would say, because you're right. Meal prepping, I would say in this day and age, no one wants to do because it's so readily and easily available to just order from a takeout company.
And sorry, I will interrupt you. When I said I was meal prepping, trust me, I was just making what? Boiled chicken breast and rice, nothing else. And it was pissing me off.
Yeah.
So imagine a meal type. So what?
Yeah, so, it's become so much better now and so much easier because we have things called like air fryers now.
Correct. Yeah.
Where,
I forgot it.
Back in the day,
True, it didn't exist.
we didn't
Yeah.
have air fryers, and then air fryers can prepare a complete gourmet meal in 20 minutes.
True.
Without the smell, without the oils, without any of that.
Correct.
So I think that there's always a solution to everything if people really wanted to do that. I don't think that people need to spend hours a week trying to meal prep. I think if they buy things like the air fryer, they can prepare meals every single day without even having to worry about
Okay.
Meal
So on a
prepping.
daily basis, you...
Yeah, totally. Like buy a bunch of salmon, buy a bunch of, organic produce, stick that into the air fryer. It gives you the instructions and boom, 20 minutes you have a meal. So that's my recommendation for those people who totally hate meal prepping.
There's any kind of companies that make this job for people or not? Or
Which one, meal prepping?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. All my clients, because I work with
Yeah,
high
exactly.
network clients, they don't like to make meals at home.
Absolutely.
They go for meal delivery companies, but I'm also really careful about the kind of meal delivery companies that produce food because bear in mind, meal delivery companies cater to the masses.
True.
And when you cater to masses, it compromises on the
quality.
quality of the food. And you're an athlete, you're into sports, you understand nutrition, you understand macros, but you also want to make sure that what you're putting in your
quality is
body
good.
is healthy.
True.
Because a lot of the meal prep companies focus only on calories and macros. They don't focus on intolerances, on allergies.
Yeah, true.
They don't focus on any of those other things that people actually need. And what I've noticed with a lot of meal delivery companies is they don't personalize.
Okay, exactly. I
You
wanted to
know,
ask you
they're-
this. The menus
they-
are like you choose from this,
Yeah,
or the
you-
calories you want.
Yeah, and if you want to personalize, they're like, nah, we don't actually do that. They don't want to
True.
help you.
True.
It's only a select company that I know in Dubai that I would say do this option. But for the most part, it's like we
don't.
cater to the masses. We don't want to have to tailor make it for every individual person. You know, so yeah, there's also challenges to ordering from a meal delivery company and budget wise.
True.
You know, not everybody can afford having to a meal delivery company.
What happened in your life that made you be a specialist in this field? Like in your personal life journey, what made you find this? Oh my God. We were talking about like the competition, not competition before the show. And you said, but I'm having my niche. It's correct. So how your personal life came to this? You climbed even mountains.
I did,
exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
it was beautiful. I had my own personal struggles, as I told you, when I was younger, but then I also lost my father to cancer when I was 22, and he was just approaching 60. And, you know, not everyone has the most incredible relationship with their parents, but I had a really amazing relationship with my father. And of course, death affects everyone differently, and it affected me exponentially, let's just say that.
Yeah.
And, you know, being in my early 20s and feeling hopeless and helpless and not knowing what to do because you're so young and you want to help this person that you love so much and so
True.
dearly have a better life, heal from that. He didn't survive, so he lasted, or he went in through this cancer phase for a couple of years, and then he passed away. But what got me extremely frustrated was because he was every single 3 to 6 months he would go for a blood check, and all the doctors were saying that there was nothing wrong with him, even though he was peeing blood. And it was only when he was stage 3 cancer that they were like, he has stage 3 cancer. And prior to that, he was like, I'll give you some pills, we'll send you home, and there's no issues. So you can only understand the frustration it was for someone like myself who stopped believing in the conventional medicine system, because you're prescribing things to someone that you don't want them to live. So that was really when the catalyst was for what I wanted to create an impact. Although I didn't start right away doing that, when I worked in corporate, it was still my focus. I cared about mental health. I cared about making a difference within mental health in organizations. But it was only still 6 years ago, almost 7 years now, that I formed a company that I wanted to create a larger impact than just a corporation.
Super. So it's Be That Life.
It's Be That
Correct.
Life.
Be That Life.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. So this, now I understand from where the inspiration came from the company. Tell us a little bit about it and what kind of service it provides.
Yeah, so Be That Life was born from my own struggles and inspiration towards wanting to become other people's lives. Successful people. People who inspired me online. We all have role models. There isn't a single person that I know who doesn't look up to someone, has a mentor, has someone that they want to aspire to become, whether they want that house or that car or that fiance or that, you know, great looking guy with a six pack. We're always wanting something, right? And it's human nature. Like for us, we're never satisfied. We're always hungry for more, doing more, being more. And, you know, we're in a melting pot. Dubai is such a melting pot for so many different things. It's a land of opportunity, as I did mention that to you earlier. And this country really inspires you to want to become something. You know, it gives you that drive. And when Be That Life, or when I wanted to create something and build my own company, I wanted a name that would really resonate with everybody, and Be That Life resonates
very lovely name, yeah.
with everyone.
Yeah.
And so like you have the Alpha movement, I have the Be That Life movement. It started with the focus of how can I help people not lose loved ones? How can I help people not go through the same things that I went through? Because I wasn't educated. I didn't have the awareness when I was younger. You know, like schools are incredible in so many ways, but they don't teach you in depth about nutrition. There's so many kids out there who are in this region, and I have a 20-year-old son now.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a single mom. I understood what it was like to raise a child in this region as a young mom, and going to schools where children don't really learn about nutrition.
I think zero even.
Yeah, they have a little bit about it, but not too much, you know. And I think it really is really super important for kids to know, because the kids build better humans.
Yeah.
If you build better children, you have
True.
better adults. And because there's that lack of focus in school, the children are eating whatever they want. There's a massive diabetes rate for children now. There's breast cancer in women as young as 21 now safe. And the doctors are feeling really alarmed about that. It's like a serious matter.
True.
You know, so the more I get into this business and this topic and these conversations with people who are young moms who are developing cancer at such a young age, or children who are suffering from obesity, from cancer, alcohol addiction, sugar addiction, not being able to manage stress, depression, suicide, you know, you start thinking to yourself, like, there's so much more healing that needs in this world. How can you not want to wake up every day and want to help people? So by building that company and building that business, I woke up every day and I felt like, wow, this is my purpose.
Having a mission.
Yeah, a mission. And I think we're born as that. We all want that, but not everyone has that drive. Not everyone has that discipline to want to push. They're so afraid, you know? They have a lot of fear in them. But I think we all have this capability to become
100%.
something,
Yeah.
right? But just, we're not in the community. We just don't have that.
True.
So-
And what Be That Life kind of services provides?
So I do high-level coaching. So it's focused on high net worth individuals, CEOs, entrepreneurs. I coach them into bettering their health. That's holistic health. So that's mind, body, soul.
Okay.
So health isn't just one aspect. So I think people look at health and they think, oh, I just need, if I want to lose a bit of weight, I just need to hire a nutritious because they can help me with my meal plan. But health is more than just about your meal plan. It's about what goes on in your mental state,
100%.
what goes on in your community, who do you hang out with, what are the things you're reading, the stuff that you drink, how you're sleeping, how you speak to people, you know, the relationship you have.
True.
It's everything. Holistic health is all of those things combined. And I really help people understand their wheel of life. So I make them do that exercise, which is the wheel,
The Wheel
of
of
life.
Life.
Yeah, and I get them to understand all the facets of their life.
Wow.
And you know,
It's very interesting. I didn't know that.
it dives deep into who they are as people, and even they themselves don't know what that is.
True.
When I get them to do that exercise, they struggle. You know, because no one really gives them that chance to sit down and to contemplate about their own lives. It's like, actually, yeah, I am struggling with my relationships at home. I don't give any attention to my children. I work so much.
Let's go a little bit backwards because that's an interesting part. First of all, do you take any clients or do you have screening for clients?
You mean, do I take everybody or do I screen? I screen.
I like knock door. I want to be your client. Would
Yeah.
I'll pass through a screening or?
Yeah, so I initially do a consultation, so I get them to on a Zoom call,
Yeah.
and you know, I'm very straightforward and authentic. If I can help you, I will help you, and if I can't, I'll tell you I can't help you.
Okay.
You know,
so you
and-
will help me. Let's
Yeah.
say I
Yeah.
pass the screening.
Yeah.
Just a quick overview on how long is the process? How does it look like? And what kind of things you make me pass through? Just in a nutshell.
Okay, let's say, for example, you are somebody that is 20 kgs overweight, and you come to me and you say, I have been struggling for so long. I obviously have a food addiction. I don't have a great relationship with food. I'm too busy. I work 12, sometimes 16 hours a day. I travel extensively. I have no time to think about food. I pick up whatever I feel like picking up at that time. I never work out. I barely sleep, maybe 3-4 hours a day. Now I've decided I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. So I first tell them, are you ready to make the change? Because a lot of people say that I'm committed, but then they fall off after
True.
a month.
Exactly.
How many people have hired a personal trainer?
Oof, or gym membership.
Or
Yeah,
get a gym
true,
membership.
true.
And the beginning of the year, you're like, no,
Yeah,
it's
true.
January. At the beginning of the year, you're like, wow, I'm so ready, committed. Like halfway in, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
True.
Something happens, I stop going. So I just ask them how committed they are from a level of 1 to 10. They tell me how committed they are, and they tell them, and then I go through the process with them. I tell them that I go through an initial mental workshop. So I do an exercise with them. It's an in-depth one. So I get them to do some worksheets. I condition the mind before we condition the body.
Okay.
Okay, so we start with a mental sort of transformation to really help them get into the space, and then we focus on the physical aspects of what they want to do. Then I get them to do a blood test. After the blood test, I understand their vitamin mineral deficiencies, their food intolerances, their allergies. And then after I've gotten that, I then prepare a supplementation plan, because I believe in supplements, because our nutrition in our food is not the same as it was
Exactly. That's true.
couple of decades ago. You know, it's not the same. And then I prepare a meal depending on their particular diet, because we live in the Middle East. You have all nationalities. So if you work with someone, for example, that's Asian, and you work with someone that's African, you work with someone with Middle Eastern, you're not going to give them all the same diet.
Correct.
You will cater it based on what they enjoy and like. And you want to make it as fun as possible. So it's not going to be a boring generic meal plan. I communicate with my clients every single day.
There is part of sports in it or not? Like exercise?
Yes, absolutely.
Workouts and...
Absolutely. So I work with my clients every single day. I believe in order to get success, you need accountability.
Yeah.
And if you
With
fall,
drift.
and if you fall off from accountability, you will drift. 100%. You know, the reason why people hire coaches is because they don't have the motivation to go and push it themselves and do it themselves. If you don't have someone telling you every day, Safe, what did you eat today?
Yeah,
You make sure you didn't do that and do that.
100%.
You know, so I do that, and then I formulate that for them. I become their accountability partner. I don't push them too hard with workouts initially. I try to make it as fun and enjoyable and not scare them from the get-go. And if you formulate it that way, and it's because I've been doing it so long, I do have done trial and error, and I know what works best for people. I will then ease you into workouts.
Okay.
You know?
Step by step.
Yeah, I get you to do like 10K steps initially, for example, and then I try to figure out, like, you know, injuries. If you have a lot of sports injuries, what will work best in terms of workout for you? And if you're someone that maybe had a surgery, like maybe a spine surgery, it depends, right? Or you have chronic back issues, or maybe, you know, you had a dislocated something. It all depends. So the workouts are tailor-made to that.
Do you work with personal trainers? Do you have on your team something like that?
All, or not all, I'd say 80% of my clients already have their own PT. So I work closely with the PT. So I will tell them, like in this month, it's going to be this type of workouts. Don't push them too hard, because their calories are not that high, and in terms of not going to have that much energy to be able to eat, to be able to train a certain way. So which means they're not giving you the all-in training. It's a waste of your training. So I would prefer, like, we do it in stages.
2 questions here.
Yeah.
The first one is, when you work with people to that level, as I usually ask psychologists, how you can absorb all this, because you're not only talking about the food you eat, you're talking about some mental things, psychological things. How do you protect yourself not to be too much involved in the psychological problems that the client has? How is it possible? Because I'm sure it reflects on you in a way.
Yeah, you know, I primarily work with men. You know, most of my clients are men. And it's interesting because with men, although they talk about their problems, it's not the same way as how women talk about their problems. So I'll just say that men's problems are obviously different from women, but the way that they communicate their problems are also different. So even if they face a lot of issues, so it could be marital issues, it could be work issues, it could be issues with business partners, it could be their own internal struggles. I would say that I resonate and work and have a great and deep bond with men, that they actually listen to the things I say. So because they trust you already as someone that wants to change their life, they're more open and more vulnerable to speak to you about certain things. I think, like, because they listen to a lot of my advice, it doesn't become so much as toxic for me to accept and go home and be like, how am I going to be dealing with this? It's affecting my own personal life. I think with the amount of struggles that I've been through in my own personal life, there's nothing that can faze me. You know, like psychologists, they deal...
Thick skin in a way.
Yeah, like psychologists, they deal with so many kinds of problems day in and day out. I think in the business that we're at, you have to have a thick skin.
True. The next question is, usually how long is the engagement with clients?
It depends. So I do a minimum.
And then,
I do a minimum of 3 months.
Okay.
You know, and then take it on from there. And then, for example, Spencer worked with me for 6. and still working with me currently. You know, I have clients that worked with me for a year, and just even though they've reached their level, they still just want the accountability. They want the check-in like twice a week. They still just want that nutritionist on call. So it's a personal choice, but a minimum of 3 months.
You know, I always also have this kind of question. This is a service that you provide on a one-to-one basis. So scalability of it, it's kind of hard. Like how many clients you can have in a month? Do you use any type of technology to help you, or a team to help you, or you want to have a one-on-one to make sure that you're delivering the service or the quality at the top?
Yeah, so I have a team. I also have a set number of clients that I want to work with in a month, but I also may have various other ways of generating income. So I have an academy, and I have courses in my academy. So I have a gut-related course in my academy. I have some challenges on there. I also have my own podcast, like yourself, and I'm now branching into the supplement space.
It's hard to be in a business that it's always one-on-one or not?
It's yes, I do believe that it can be challenging if you're not organized and you don't have the right systems in place. But a lot of like top coaches in the world thrive on systems.
True.
You know, systems is the only way that's going to keep you going. So I have a system for everything.
What makes you different in the market?
Love that question. That's an amazing question. I get asked that a lot. And I think a lot of people in the health space get asked that a lot too.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, it's a saturated market.
True.
There's way too many people doing what they do. But I do feel like what I do is still not massive enough in the region and still lack a lot of awareness. And people are interested in gut health.
Yeah.
And they like that topic, especially that it's getting a lot of traction globally. You know, and I would say that what makes me different, aside from the fact that I specialize in gut health and that's my niche, is I would say like I live a life that is, I don't know, I think like I'm in my 40s, and I think, you know, I take really good care of myself in my 40s. I would say that my lifestyle is very attractive for a lot of people in my social media. They get attracted to the page because they see like I do so much, and they want to want that, they want to
role
live
model.
like that. And they like the fact that there's a woman out there who is strong and empowered and has gone through her own struggles and hasn't let that affect what she wants to build, the impact that she wants to create in the world. And that inspires not just men, men too.
True.
You know, it pushes them to want to make that difference in their own life and not become a victim of circumstance, whatever circumstance they're in. So I would say that's what makes me different. I would say that I'm so solid on my niche. I'm focused on gut health, but also I'm authentic in the way of my approach and how I do things online.
True. If I ask you that majority of your clients currently are by referrals or by ads? Because I believe referrals is
so I don't do
recommendations.
ads. I only focus on referrals. And because I've already grown a global business, I have clients from all over the world, and they just book a call, and then they would see me online, for example, book a call, or it would just be referred from my clients.
I'll move to the podcast. So you started podcast last year.
I did,
am I correct?
yeah, I
Tell me
did.
about it. Why did you start it, and what kind of topics you want to cover?
I love talking.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I like talking in a sense that I love to connect with people. You know, I've always been an extrovert, and I believe that connection is the greatest source of learning. And if you don't try to build connections, you're never growing, you're not learning. And by creating that podcast, I have gotten on some incredible guests that I've learned so much from, that has exponentially grown my business, my own personal growth. And you know, it inspires me to then want to create different avenues towards where I want to go in life. I am also writing my own book.
My second question.
So I'm getting into the book space. And you know, that was inspired to me because, like, you know, a lot of the podcast guests I have their own books.
True.
I'm like, what's the next level for you? Like, we're always trying to up level ourselves, Safe, right? You're
Correct.
the same.
Correct.
As entrepreneurs,
Correct.
we're always trying to see what's the next level for us, what's the next stage. We're never satisfied with just, this is it, this is enough.
True.
So if you always want to create a larger impact and always want to do more, how do we reach the largest audience in the shortest period of time?
True.
We're not on Earth forever. How can you create the largest impact with the time that we have on Earth?
True.
So podcasting became more of like, I want to do this because it felt right at the time. It tied in well to my brand, and I wanted to interview these incredible guests because I am a specialist in my field. But if I can get guests on who talk about the same topics and also back up the things I say, it also adds credibility to what I'm talking
impact
about.
to your audience as well.
Yeah, and I think co-creation is super important.
Yeah, I love that. Correct.
Yeah.
What about the book? Tell me about the book. What kind of book? What kind of message you want out of this
It's an
book?
interesting book
Yeah.
because the book evolved over the period of last year that I created the book. It was focused on like a gut health book, but now more it's a life manual. I created a life manual instead of just a gut health book.
Very interesting.
Yeah, and the life manual will be focused on everything from childhood to university to starting out and having your first job to trying to find yourself, to parents, becoming a parent, to understanding nutrition, to how to become a better parent, teaching nutrition to your children.
Wow.
Those kind of things.
When is it going to be out?
Q1.
Q1.
So I'd say Q1.
Same time where our books will be out. Same time also.
Are
My book is
you-
coming, I think, Feb time frame.
So is this an alpha movement book or
Of course. What are you expecting?
is
an
it
album.
called an alpha movement or what's it going to be called? You don't have the name yet?
No, I have the name, but don't ask me these questions. I kind of forgot. It's the 8 rules or principles.
Oh, wow.
For the alpha.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
It's Feb, March is gonna be out.
Okay, amazing.
All the best of both of us.
Yeah, I can't wait to read your book.
Same here. Let's move to a very interesting topic because actually it resonates with me. My life, I would say, part of it was corporate and part of it an entrepreneur. The switch from being corporate to entrepreneur was extremely tough for me. It was hell period of time. Tell me about your journey in this, moving from a corporate job to becoming having your own business and running it.
Yeah, it was tough.
Extremely, I believe.
It was really tough.
Why did you take this move?
It was tough because this wasn't my space. You're moving away from comfort and stability of a 9-to-5 job and getting a salary.
Legal firm. Legal. Okay, so it's like extremely corporate.
Yeah,
There's no like
very.
creativity. Legal.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming out from that comfort zone to then moving outside of your comfort zone was definitely challenging especially because I knew no one in the space of health and wellness. This wasn't
Your network.
my world. Yeah, it wasn't my
yeah.
network. I was in the business
True.
world.
True.
And the people that I knew were very corporate and banking, finance, not at all this. So really taking that leap of faith without knowing the outcome of that was really a massive risk.
Yeah.
But risk takers are the ones that change the world, Safe.
True.
They're the ones that really create true impact. And without risk, there isn't impact. You're not going to have success.
True.
It's the same as you dabbling into stocks, into cryptos and all of that kind of stuff. You're putting in money where you could lose it. It's the same about moving career to something entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship is the most hardest, but the most rewarding
True.
experience
Risk and reward.
ever. So, it's either you get into it and focus that you're in it for the long run, or you get into it and then decide it's not for you and go back into corporate world.
True.
I could never see myself back into a 9-to-5 after I
Did
started.
you ever reach a point? Because I reached this point, to be honest. I said, like I was, to be quick, one day I woke up in the middle of the night and I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and it's like the entrepreneurship journey was disaster.
Yeah.
And I looked in the
absolutely.
mirror and as if somebody's telling me, Safe, go back to corporate. And I had like, okay, should I go back or continue? Should I go back or continue? And that's a dilemma I was in. And then I decided, no, I'll make it happen. So did you face a point that let me maybe go back to corporate?
I think all entrepreneurs have a pivot and a point where they are in a situation where they struggle a lot,
Yeah.
and they hit maybe like a dead end in their business, or like a
True,
barrier, a true barrier in what they do. But when you think about it though, it's very difficult for me to want to go back to the 9 to 5. I can't have a boss again.
It's
You know
done,
what
it's
I mean?
finished. Yeah, 100%
It's very
true.
difficult. So even though it was really tough, I would say, I still pushed through, and it was the best thing I ever did. But I would say, because of, I'm very, very so focused and massive believer of a law of attraction.
True.
I'm a believer in this. It's like what
The
you
secret.
what you put out there
Yeah.
is what you get back.
True.
And the more that you think about it, the more it will come. So if you're focused on the negative, you will only
Attract negative. True,
negative.
true.
And if you're, regardless of your current situation, if you stay positive, you're always going to
Things
attract
will happen.
positive. I have been so fortunate in the past couple of years that I've met some incredible people that exponentially helped me grow my brand.
Yeah.
And it is because of these people, and I'm so grateful for all of them, that I am where I am today in my journey. But it's also because I stayed positive, regardless of adversity. Like COVID was a tough period for everybody.
Yeah. Ooh.
Like
True.
there's going to be always those situations in life, but I think you need to know why you are put in this world, why you're put on this earth, and what's your purpose. And mine was always, I wanted to make a change. I wanted to create an impact. There are hundreds and thousands of people out there who suffer because they don't know what they want to do with their
True.
lives. They're
Lost.
sick and they're
Yeah,
lost. And if I can even impact 1% of the world, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So this is my drive, my mission every day, and that's the reason why I still do what I do.
If I ask you, what is your favorite failure? A struggle that you had, a failure that you had, but you're so grateful that it happened.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, when I decided to seek investment for my supplements brand, I was turned down by so many people. They hated my deck. They didn't love my pitch deck. They were like, this is the most garbage pitch deck we've ever seen.
Oof.
Go and redo that. And they're like, okay, you're a woman. You've never been in the supplement space. You're never going to make it.
To
know.
that extent.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was like, slap after slap after slap. And I was like to the point where I even started questioning myself. Like, am I doing the right thing? Is this is this what the market is? No one believed in my vision. No one believed in what I wanted to do. And at that point I was even thinking like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think I can, get the investment to launch a supplements brand. I don't think that, I'm cut out for that. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe it is really very hard. I started having all of those doubts and all those thoughts. But I kept it in a back burner for a while. I stopped pitching for a good 4 months after the first period that I pitched 2 years ago. So I did it for a whole year straight, and I was getting rejected all the time. There were people who were saying, yeah, we'd love to help you, empty promises, and then they're like,
Thank you. Yeah.
how it is, and then and then when it's time to like really commit and put the money in, they don't put the money in, which is every entrepreneur who is trying to raise money will tell you the same
Yeah.
thing, same struggles. And it's really hard to raise money if you're a woman. Let's say, there is the gender gap there, and that resistant to want to support women.
How did you flip it?
Yeah, so for 4 months I gave up on wanting to pitch, and then I started having inspiration again, and I started pitching again, but I trying to change my strategy and the way that I pitched this time, and I focused only on the relationship that I already built, instead of focusing on
Leveraging
newer
on what you
relationships, and I had someone that was in my network who became a really good friend, and yeah, he believed in my vision, and now he is the backer of my brand.
Wow.
And now he is my business partner.
Wow.
So it took 2 years to really believe that I can make it. And if I decided I didn't want to make it anymore, like many do, and they decided they don't want to do it anymore, they wouldn't.
I
have,
love it. It took
but I
2
decided
years.
it took 2 years.
Because a lot of people think that everything happens overnight.
No, raising money takes a really
Yeah.
long time. Some people never raise it at all, and they have to find ways to to make it, I just got quite fortunate. There was someone who decided that they
True,
wanted to
believe
believe
in
in my
you.
dream.
True.
And now, 2 years down the road, I'm launching my supplements brand next
Wow.
month.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats,
And,
congrats.
and just by saying that makes me feel so good because of the struggles that I went through having to go through that. And now this baby of mine.
This is a
coming to
failure,
fruition.
sorry. This is a failure and the proudest moment as well. Because my next question was going to be what's your biggest accomplishment? Was going to be this one, which was I would say, failure. 2
Yeah,
years
it
trying to
is.
raise.
Yeah.
And next month you're launching it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. So, I do believe if you don't give up on your dreams, it will come true.
Yeah.
You just have to be consistent. You can't give up.
I loved you said 2 years, it was coming out of you. It took
Yeah.
2 years to make it happen.
Yeah, it's not a joke. I have to say that it really broke me.
True.
Like listening to what people had to say, and it wasn't easy. It's hurtful.
And next month is going to be in the market.
Yeah.
That's congrats, congrats,
Thank you so
congrats.
much.
If I want to go a little bit in entrepreneurship, and I want to ask you the question: do you think that anybody can be an entrepreneur?
Yes.
Yes.
I think anyone can try to be an entrepreneur, but staying in it really requires a particular personality.
Yeah, DNA kind of.
Yeah, you really need to be able to have like extreme mental resilience
Yeah.
to be able to survive as an entrepreneur because it's a cutthroat industry. The market out there is really tough.
Ruthless, yeah, true. And if I ask you, what kind of skills do you think entrepreneurs should have? Basic skills.
Communication.
Always trying to sell yourself.
Yeah, communication is super important. A really important skill is discipline. You have to have insane amount of discipline to be able to be a really good entrepreneur. Organized.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to be extremely organized, or you can hire a team to be doing that
To make
for
you
you.
organized, yeah.
I think you need to have really great talent acquisition skills to be a really good entrepreneur. Hiring the right kind of people can either make or break your business, and it could either make or break you.
Mm-hmm. True.
It could help you make a lot of money, or you could lose all of your money.
True.
So all of that too is super important. Another really important quality for an entrepreneur is you need to have compassion. I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that building a business from scratch is super easy, and then you're hiring the people and expect them to just do everything from you, but then you don't treat them right. I think it's important to have compassion for the people you work with, because it's less about hierarchy and more about teammanship and working together. So those are some important skills I think some entrepreneurs should have.
I love that. If I'm gonna go into your daily, I would say routines, if I want to ask you how your day looks like.
Yeah, so I'm a 5 a.m. girl. I'm not saying that everyone should be a 5 a.m. club person, because if you study the sleep chronotypes, Dr. Michael Bruce, actually, he created the sleep chronotypes, and he's considered a sleep doctor. I interviewed him on my podcast. And he's also a personal friend. He basically created the sleep chronotypes, and the chronotypes talks about everyone's different circadian rhythm. And although there are books out there and there are people who promote the 5 a.m. club, and if you're not part of the 5 a.m. club, you're not going to be successful, that's wrong, because we're also different in our circadian rhythms, and the sleep chronotypes, which are 4 chronotypes, teach you that there are people who basically are more creative and thrive at night. There are people who are more creative and thrive in afternoon, and there's those that are 5 a.m. clubs like myself.
Yeah.
Now I start my day at 5 a.m. Based on my circadian rhythm that works. I am most productive and most creative at daytime, and I start crashing at 8-9 p.m. so I sleep quite early. It's past my bedtime, by the way.
We're finishing now.
It's past my bedtime.
I look like, okay. It's finishing.
Yeah, the things I do for you, Sid. I do my out for you, past my bedtime.
I crashed it now. Oh my God, okay. I'm closing. How did you find out that you're a 5 a.m.? It's like for people to know, because really one of the main, I would say, myth that's out there you need to wake up, like 4 a.m.,
Yeah.
do things at 4 a.m.,
Yeah.
5 a.m. before anybody wakes up, get ahead. I'm an early riser, so
Yeah.
I'm from that club.
Okay.
But I also believe there are people that really produce and in their creative
Yes.
zone at night, like designers, like all these kind of things. They work late at night.
So you're a bear, by the way, because a chronotype, which is a 5 a.m.,
Yeah,
is a bear.
it's
So
a
we're
bear.
both bears.
Yeah.
But
Morning time.
most of the population globally are bears.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the wolf, then there's the dolphin. I would say, for example, you need to do the sleep chronotype test, and that's
testing.
how I discovered that
Okay.
I am a bear. And you can do the sleep chronotype test online, which is the sleep chronotype by the sleep doctor. That people can Google that and check that out. They have a bunch of different questions formulated to try to understand different circadian rhythms, and at the end of that, it will tell you what you are, and then you know what you are.
Not to push people and do something.
Yeah, and this is a good topic because when I work with corporate wellness and I speak to their HR and I speak to the owners of these companies, I've worked with Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, large organizations, and the one things that when I speak to these companies, I always tell them that every single employee are so different, and if you incorporate the sleep chronotype test just when you are in your hiring process, it helps you understand if you're hiring someone in the marketing division or if you're hiring someone in finance, you're understanding that this person is not the most productive in daytime, and you know whether to hire them, when to push them. You can't tell a wolf that you need to come an 8 a.m.
Yeah,
meeting and expect
correct.
them to be like listening
Shining,
to you and
yeah,
shine. But you
true.
can tell a bear to do that.
True.
We can come
Exactly.
at 8 a.m. be like, yeah, we're super creative and super
True.
productive. So yeah, that's
I
a very
love that.
important tip.
So I'll go back to your day. You wake up at 5.
Yeah, I wake up at 5 a.m. I have my usual morning rituals.
Yeah.
So I'd have my drinks, so lemon water, apple cider vinegar. I have a bit of breath work in the morning, a really quick one, a 5-minute breath work. I promote this to all of my clients. It's an energy breath work. Then I start my day with a workout. So I either go cycling, Pilates, go for a walk on the beach, whatever it is, but I do a workout in the morning. I can't start my day without a workout. I prefer doing that because since I'm a bear, I get quite lethargic already 6, 7 p.m. I would never work out in the evenings.
Sure.
Are you the same?
Exactly.
You're a morning
Yeah.
person, right? Then I don't speak to any of my clients till after 10 a.m. I really try to get through my emails. I start my day that way. And then I don't add any stress in my life in the morning. And then by 10 a.m. is when I really speak to clients, if I have to get on a podcast, if I have an online call, if I have to go meet someone outdoors, it's always from 10 onwards. And I usually end my day at around 7, and then I'm in bed by 9.
She's pushing that way.
So
She's pushing that way
so-
after 7.
So I'm a massive believer of bone broth. So I like to consume bone
Yeah.
broth. So that's I'm a massive tea drinker, and I don't drink coffee. I never had coffee my whole life. So, but I believe in tea. Now I'm gonna give you zero coffee. I'm gonna get. Do you know much about the blue zones?
No.
Have you heard about the blue zones?
From you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the blue zones was actually discovered by a researcher called Dan Buettner, and the blue zones are.
These are the areas where the people live longer, or
Yeah, they live as centenarians, over
okay.
100.
Yeah.
And when they did the research in the blue zones, they discovered a lot of them that live really long lives are massive tea drinkers. So they drink a lot of tea. And it isn't just that, tea has a lot of benefits, but it's great for digestion. And a lot of people that eat foods are not going to the toilet every day. And they're chronically constipated. And the problem with being constipated is you're accumulating toxin in the body. And then that leads to colon cancer and various other cancers. And hemorrhoids, for example, also massive, So I am a massive tea drinker, and for people that know a lot about the blue zones, to study the blue zones, teas is incredible for that. So I do a lot of liquids throughout the day, water. I drink a lot of water. I'm always hydrated, and then I have my one meal a day. But obviously, the one meal a day doesn't cover all of the nutrients for the day, right? You can't get all your vitamin and mineral deficiencies, your fruits and vegetables, your
even by 5 meals.
Yeah, and even your protein, you need to take
True.
protein shakes for a lot of people. So I supplement with supplements.
Since we are in the Alpha Talks podcast, okay, I'm looking at the title. How do you define an alpha?
Woman.
An alpha.
Let's say an alpha woman. An alpha woman is someone that knows what she wants. She does not take no for an answer. She is disciplined. She's consistent. She believes in self-worth. She believes in self-love. And I think in order to become successful at whatever you do as an alpha, man or woman, you need to understand self-love.
True.
And self-love and self is equivalent to self-respect, because I wouldn't respect a CEO who is 50 kgs overweight and tells me what I need to do at work if you can't manage your weight.
True. I love that.
You know?
I love that. We have a section called the Alpha Quickfire.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll shoot questions as fast as you can. You can
Okay.
answer. So a person who influenced you the most in your life.
My dad,
A habit that contributed most to your success.
discipline,
What is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
breathe.
Okay. So it's a breathing exercise. Okay. I woke up. If you will recommend one book to the audience, which one?
My book that's coming out.
Very salesy, okay. An entrepreneur. Can you pinpoint a specific moment or an event that marked a turning point in your approach to health and wellness?
Yeah, I would say the issue with my dad. Yeah, for sure.
Your definition of happiness.
Love yourself.
Is there a specific motto or mantra you live by every day?
Yeah, like do unto others what you want done to yourself.
What's the one place you've always wanted to visit but haven't yet?
Fiji.
No blue zone?
I've been to a lot of the blue zones.
all the blue
Not
zones.
all of them,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've been to a lot of the blue zones already. Fiji.
Fiji. Which social media platform do you find most enjoyable for engagement?
I think TikTok is most for growth, but Instagram is my largest community.
What's the single best advice you've ever received?
Never give up on your dreams.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Happy, driven, ambitious.
Love that. Do you have... This section is finished, okay? So the next one you can elaborate. Do you have a hidden talent or skill that nobody knows?
Yeah, I play the piano. I'm not amazing, but I play it. That's still talent.
I play guitar.
Oh, you do?
Okay, yeah.
Cool. We should form a band.
Of course, done. Before 9 p.m., okay?
Yeah.
Before 9 p.m.
Exactly.
What would be the last message you want to leave the audience with today?
I think the most important message that I want to leave the audience today is be a responsible human being. You know, be a responsible parent. If you're a parent, educate yourself and then educate your children on how to live a healthier life, because you know, our being the year of sustainability in 2023, and we were talking so much about how our world is slowly deteriorating because we're not taking care of our environment. The environment starts with our bodies.
True.
You know, and if we're not taking care of that, how are we going to take care of anything else? So become a responsible human being, and if you love yourself, you can create so much difference in the world.
Mm-hmm. If people want to connect with you after watching the episode, where they can?
They can connect with me on my Instagram, so it's Mary Cristine. And I'm sure you'll add
Of
all
course.
the tags,
Yeah.
and the TikTok is the same name. And I also have a YouTube, but Instagram would probably be the biggest platform.
Super. We'll add it in the description.
Thank you.
We have a ritual in the Alpha Talks show, which is called the Alpha Talks Memoir. So the Alpha Talks Memoir is like a journal where the Alpha guest do 3 things. The first one is to write their experience in the Alpha Talks show. The second is to ask a question to the next Alpha guest, okay, which means that you answer a question of the previous Alpha guest.
Okay.
And the third one is to recommend an Alpha guest to come onto the show.
Okay,
So, are you ready for the question?
I am.
And since this is the first episode in 2024. I really don't remember
I'm
the
so honored.
I swear it's the first.
Thank you so much.
It's the first. I mean, I feel I'm preparing myself, like getting started, like. So the question is, next guest question. What do you expect to happen in the future? Whatever, for example, in your field.
I would say maybe the near future, like in the next couple of years. I really want people to have a better understanding on what it takes to become healthy. It doesn't have to be difficult. I want people to become responsible parents. I believe that, and I talk about this all the time, that responsible parenting creates such a large impact in the world today. And if we can become responsible parents, I think we create such an incredible society moving forward.
I love that. Mary, thank you very much being with us today in the Alpha Talks. And I believe they're going to be the next episode with you. We'll dig deeper in wellness overall. Thank you very much for being with us
It's
today.
been such an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Same here.
That wraps another inspiring episode of today's show. I hope that this episode has ignited your inner alpha and left you feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to conquer any challenge that comes your way. Remember, alphas aren't born, they're made. It isn't about dominating others, it's about embracing your authenticity, leading with integrity, and making a positive impact on the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Alpha Talks on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review and share the podcast with your fellow alphas. Also connect with us on social media at Saif Al Hakim. Share your thoughts, insight, and stories of personal and business growth with us. Let's create a movement of alphas supporting one another. The world needs more alphas like you exactly. Until next time, stay bold, stay driven, and stay alpha.